Hey, Innovation Junkies, welcome back for another deep dive. We spend a lot of time in this field talking about big ideas, disruptive innovation, the next big thing. But today, we're getting down to brass tacks. We're diving into the nitty-gritty of actually making those ideas happen with innovation expert Ahi Gvirtsman, pronounced Gvirtsman. We've got a stack of his insights from his book, How to Measure Innovation, and some of his blog posts on Spira-isms. You ready to turn those bright ideas into real-world wins?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, so first up, Ahi is all about execution. He has this Spirism #1, which states, it's not about ideas, it's about making ideas happen.
Hmm.
It sounds obvious, but as innovation managers, you know it's where things often fall apart.
It's so true. And Ahi really emphasizes this point by highlighting how many organizations get caught up in the excitement of things like hackathons. You walk away with a ton of energy, maybe some cool swag, but then what?
Right. He actually calls them features and t-shirts. A burst of creativity that rarely translates into anything substantial. It's like that app idea you sketched on a napkin, full of potential, but stuck in the ideation phase.
Exactly. And that's why Ahi stresses the importance of having a system in place, a clear process for moving from that initial spark to a tangible product or service.
So it's less about chasing shiny objects and more about building a reliable machine that churns out results.
Precisely. And a crucial part of building that machine is measurement. You need to know what's working, what's not, and where you need to adjust your approach.
Which brings us to, I think the biggest takeaway from everything we've got, measurement matters. It's like Ahi says in his book, innovation managers who do not measure their activity will always be seated at the kiddie table.
Ouch, nobody wants to be relegated to the kiddie table, especially when you're responsible for driving innovation.
And he's got a point. He tells this story about an innovation manager who wasn't measuring her team's success. She was all about fostering a culture of innovation. Sound familiar?
I think we've all been there. And look, building a strong innovation culture is important. But without concrete data to back it up, you risk being seen as all talk and no action. And that's a surefire way to end up at that kiddie table, or worse.
Exactly. Which is exactly what happened to that innovation manager. She ended up losing her job. So how do we avoid that fate?
Yeah.
By understanding the why behind the what when it comes to measurement.
He's got three main reasons why measurement is so crucial. First, it allows for continuous improvement. By tracking your progress, you can identify bottlenecks, streamline processes, and make sure you're always getting better. Think of it as constantly fine-tuning your innovation engine.
Makes sense. What's the second reason?
It's all about proving your worth. When you can demonstrate the value of your innovation efforts with hard data, you're much more likely to secure buy-in from leadership. And let's be real, securing budget and resources is an ongoing battle for most innovation teams.
Tell me about it. It feels like we're always having to justify our existence,
Yeah.
especially when the bottom line tightens.
Exactly. But when you have that data, those progress KPIs that show you're moving the needle, you're in a much stronger position to advocate for your team and your projects.
Data talks, right?
Okay.
Okay, so continuous improvement, demonstrating value. What's the third reason why measurement is so critical for innovation managers?
Time. Innovation takes time. It's not always about those quick wins or overnight successes. Sometimes you need to be able to show that you're making steady progress, even if those big splashy outcomes are still down the road.
It's about playing the long game.
Exactly. Measurement gives you the ammunition you need to say, hey, we're on track, we're building something meaningful here, give us the runway we need, and you'll see the results.
It makes those tough conversations with leadership a little less daunting, right?
Absolutely. And that leads us to the types of metrics that really matter, those progress KPIs that Ahi advocates for.
Because it's not just about tracking any old metric, right? We need to focus on those key performance indicators that actually demonstrate progress and align with those big picture strategic goals. So let's break down those progress KPIs. Give our listeners some concrete examples of what they should be tracking.
He outlines several categories in his book, but one that really resonates with me, especially for innovation managers, is the KPI that tracks the number of ventures that secure executive support and sponsorship early on.
That sounds crucial. Getting those decision makers on board from the get-go is often half the battle, right?
It makes all the difference because it's one thing to have an innovative idea. It's another to have the resources and authority to actually bring that idea to life.
It's about transforming those features and t-shirts into something with real substance.
Exactly. And another key progress KPI that Ahi highlights is the total potential impact of your ventures on strategic objectives.
So aligning your innovation efforts with those top-level goals like increasing revenue,
Yeah.
market share, or customer satisfaction.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, innovation isn't just about being creative or trying new things for the sake of it. It's about driving meaningful change and achieving tangible results for the organization.
Which brings us back to Ahi's analogy of the innovation manager as a venture capitalist. You need to be strategic. You need to be able to evaluate potential. And you need to be comfortable with a certain level of risk. And that brings us to Spirism number 6, which states that running less than 5 experiments a year is called gambling.
It's a brilliant way to frame it because it forces you to think about innovation not as this one-off hit or miss endeavor, but as a portfolio of strategic bets.
So how do we as innovation managers adopt that venture capitalist mindset? What are some practical steps we can take?
It all starts with embracing experimentation and understanding that not every experiment is going to be a home run. In fact, most won't be. And that's okay. The key is to run multiple time-bound and budget-limited experiments concurrently.
So spread those bets and increase your chances of hitting on something truly transformative.
Exactly. And by setting clear parameters for each experiment, time frames, budgets, and very importantly, clearly defined desired outcomes, you limit your downside risk. Even if an experiment fails, you gain valuable insights and data that you can apply to future endeavors.
And you haven't blown your entire innovation budget on one risky venture. So it's about accepting failure as part of the process.
Absolutely. In fact, Ahi argues that if you're not experiencing a certain level of failure, you're probably not being bold enough in your innovation efforts. He calls it failing forward. It's about viewing those setbacks as opportunities to learn, adapt, and refine your approach.
This is all incredibly insightful, but I think some of our listeners might be feeling a little overwhelmed right now. Where do we even begin? How do we go from features and t-shirts to a robust and effective innovation engine?
Well, that's where Ahi's company Spire Group comes in. They've developed a methodology called Spark to Scale that helps organizations do just that. Turn those sparks of innovation into scalable, impactful outcomes.
Okay, so tell me more about this Spark to Scale methodology. What's the secret sauce?
One of the most compelling things about Spire Group's approach is its focus on delivering rapid results. We're talking about identifying those high ROI opportunities within just 3 months of engaging with them.
Wow, that's fast. And what about actually scaling those ventures?
That's where the second part of their methodology kicks in. Within 6 months, they promise to have your management team equipped to make informed investment decisions and start scaling those promising ventures.
That's huge because it addresses that critical gap we were talking about earlier, bridging the gap between idea generation and actual measurable impact. But it sounds like this methodology is about much more than just a set of tools or processes.
You're absolutely right. Ahi emphasizes the importance of building a robust innovation ecosystem within an organization. This means creating a culture that supports experimentation, collaboration, and calculated risk-taking. It's about empowering employees at all levels to contribute their ideas, challenge the status quo, and drive meaningful change.
So it's about creating an environment where those features in t-shirts can evolve into something more substantial, right? A place where those sparks of innovation can ignite real lasting change.
Exactly. It's about fostering a culture that embraces both the creativity of ideation and the discipline of execution.
Which brings us back to the importance of measurement. It's the glue that holds it all together, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Without measurement, you're essentially flying blind. You can talk about innovation all day long, but if you can't demonstrate its impact, you're not going to get very far.
And as we've discussed, that lack of measurable progress is a surefire way to end up at the innovation kiddie table.
And nobody wants that, especially when there's so much potential to make a real difference.
Right. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Driving meaningful change, solving real problems, and creating a better future.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's about turning those bright ideas, those sparks of innovation, into tangible results that benefit both the organization and the wider world.
So for all you innovation leaders out there, consider this your call to action. Embrace the power of measurement. Build that robust innovation ecosystem. And get ready to move from the kiddie table to the head of the table.
Because you have the power to make a real difference.
This has been an incredible deep dive. If you want to explore these ideas further, I highly recommend checking out Ahi Gvirtsman's book, How to Measure Innovation. It's packed with actionable insights and practical advice.
It's a must-read for anyone serious about driving innovation.
And be sure to connect with Ahi on LinkedIn. We'll include a link to his profile in the show notes. Until next time, happy innovating.